Yeah, that's why I messaged you. Purchase, that's, yeah. It is. It's on there.
Went online.
It was,
That's what's in the room, right?
Yeah.
It's we need it.
Jacob, you're sporting quite the bow tie there.
Yes. Thank you.
It is. I'm impressed.
Is it Denver? Good.
No, I, and,
Official meeting or are we?
Just
No.
here to go with budget.
We're just here to let it.
Making a difference.
Yeah. I have to-
Okay. Gary can talk, so Gary can't talk.
Yeah,
You're not allowed to talk here.
we could make a motion that we designate participant. Honorary. Let me know when everybody wants to get started.
It's portable.
Lauren, the draft you sent out was the same one that was sent earlier today.
No, I just, this is the updates from Kanoa,
This is the updated.
or from the Kanoa changes. Because she sent hers out before I could make the. Oh, sorry. No, you're good.
You've got another one that just went out.
Yes, he's the one that just sent out at 5:21.
that's what's here today.
But what's the kind of material changes that you make?
It's adjusting the Kanoa rent to be capped at $25,000. And it's adjusting, the staffing to include a marketing specialist,
So salary for the marketing specialist is what?
60,000,
And how much rent did they get shaved off of?
$7,600.
So about $130,000.
Yeah, he went up to 8.1%.
That's over percent change.
Well, you were at 7.4. From the one that was sent out last night.
$100,000 is above basis.
So on the discussion yesterday, 65 for asking for, but I thought it was stated that there was someone who already was going to be a joint use.
So, well, we're hiring a communications manager that will have marketing as part of their thing, but Kanoa's specific ask was for a specific dedicated marketing specialist.
Yeah, which I guess that's where I personally went in there until we negotiate terms entirely. I understand that's their wants and they provide a couple of grants, but it doesn't go in unless they kind of do a 3-year term. I was trying to push for. So the understanding and just awareness for everyone, the joint meeting yesterday, they were agreeable to 1 year, kind of keep it a status quo. They had requested the marketing manager, which is about 60,000. And then they didn't see a fair split regarding the rent as far as the majority of those are truly from Kanoa. So they were trying to keep that down to 25,000, which that 25,000 I was comfortable with leaving that as is. But as far as the marketing manager, that's something where I thought it was going to be a joint use for 2025 and 2026 when that would kick in, unless we can reach terms on truly an extension.
My note, I don't know, my note says market MKT assistance, in parentheses, I have this year.
Yeah, they said they wanted it started to be advertised for this year.
Yeah, but we don't have to schedule for the whole year. It's probably come in mid-year to the back half of the year, right? That kind of a thought, if it's going to be a process of getting it implemented.
I understood this year as in starting.
I didn't hear that.
I don't agree with it from the standpoint that there is no agreement that you're saying. That to say that we're gonna hire somebody like that, when that was the first meeting I think they've ever come to and complained about what the value is of getting guidance.
Right.
It seems very early in the process to just jump in and say, okay, we're gonna hire them, because we don't even know what that person can do.
Yeah.
I say fix the rent,
Mhm.
fix the rent, which is obvious.
Yes.
because that's a supplement spot. Fix the rent, but leave everything else status quo.
I can pull that up.
You agree?
I agree, and I'll talk to Jared and Eric, and we'll work on hashing out specific terms that if they want that to start January first, then we need to get a signed agreement in place within the next couple weeks.
I felt that was, I wrote it this year. Means next year. Budget, so just so you understand my need.
So, yeah, I mean, we're hiring right now a communications manager. The communications role that Liz was playing as the director of communications and lifestyles should have consumed about 60% of her, or of that scope of work. So this new role is that 60% of her director should be like 65% of this manager's work, which leaves 35%. Knowing that we need to add Kanoa as a scope for them, and like a 20% helping to create some content that has been non-existent at all, and the rest would be improving all of our social media content, which is very abysmal now. So they should see, once we get this new person on staff, and that is an objective of theirs.
Let me just tell him,
Hey, John.
hey, Jacob, I'm sorry to interrupt you in the middle of your discussion. I'm a little bit ill. I wanted to let you know I want to dial in, but I'm going to actually drop off because I'm quite ill today. Not that it really matters, but I just want to say hello and goodbye.
Hello, Scott.
All right, see you guys.
Here, yeah.
All right, take care.
Get some
See ya.
rest.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
So they should see within the rest of 2024, action being taken, promotions going out. Also, the hope would be that they're also going to launch that communication internship program starting January 2025. That can also be an extension of their scope, helping with pushing Kanoa communications, of what they're asking for out. I feel that they can see satisfaction in that. I just think that they're trying to get there. They don't see the $500,000 of satisfaction in that. But I don't know if adding another comms manager just for them is what is the solution.
I think our issue here is we have to enlighten them, educate them on what that 500,000 represents. And as I mentioned after the meeting, there's overhead in there, there's indirect costs, there's direct costs. They're part of an entity, and there's just some sharing they're going to have to do there. They're not going to see a direct benefit from that, as I don't see a direct benefit from a lot of things that happen. None of us do. I lose all this stuff, but I'm still a part of the community as the business is now. So I think,
So removing that gets you down to 7.2.
because I think if we start to play with them too much and give them little pieces around the edge before we educate them on a broader basis and get an agreement on what the strategy or philosophy is, we're going to lose the negotiation.
Yeah. Well, so that's where I was on this year, next year conversation. My thought process was that we will go with what we've been planning right now, which is bringing this comms person in, taking 20% of their role in 2025, seeing if they're happy in 2025 with what we're able to provide them. And then if they're still not happy, then that's a discussion for 2026. But.
And I think because we're talking about starting an internship program under the comms heading. And I think you'll see some proof of concept where they'll see some more value add from that program.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, I don't know how many interns you guys have used in the past. In businesses I've been in, used interns quite a bit. Business side, accounting side, marketing side. It's usually pretty successful.
It could also lead into if that's a demand they're not letting go of, we might find an all-star intern that we could bring in at a better rate than what bringing in, out of the marketplace would be. That's not the plan to go off of, but there's opportunity by just.
I'm not against the 60. Just that if that's going in, I need a CJC joint contract with, and that's what we'll go.
Yeah, I just wanted to err on the side of caution and just have it in there so at least you saw what the number would be in the event that that's in.
I just don't feel comfortable enough to the residents of celebration at this point, saying what the piece and saying.
I think we should keep it on to negotiate, and I would get the signed agreement, but make it a process, see how it works with this other person coming in, the sheriff, whoever happens there. To start giving them stuff at this point. They were polite, but I don't think, he's gonna push around the edges on this. He's just gonna try to get whatever he can. That's the way he's, getting stature with the rest of those businesses. It's just the way he is. That's not a bad thing, but pretty hard to battle him when he says, where's the value of it for 561,000? Well, your business will exist in a community that is a comprehensive organization that brings people into the community all the time to patronize your businesses. What's the value of that?
Quick question, are we recording?
Yes.
So, just something that I didn't bring up last night, but something for Artemis is that from a Canoa standpoint, I think we should be contributing more for 4th of July. So whether it's Lexington or Canoa themselves, that's something that I think there's negotiations there on both sides. Just because they have it, we have something as well. What that middle ground looks like needs to go be determined.
Yeah, that's a thing. It's gonna build up your position.
Okay, should we walk through the line by line process?
Do you want to go tab by tab or just down the P and L line by line?
I will.
But do the subcategories. I went through the subcategories.
Okay.
Want me to rattle off what I've got?
Okay.
The revenue section, I just highlighted 3 items. The other income is down 81,000. Homeowner activities down 25. This is to the year-to-date projection for the year-end projection. And I thought we were in a good spot there because we've got a $60,000 or $70,000 loss so far this year. And Jen's got it down at 160. We have 4 months left. It's like it's a $25,000 deficit a month in terms of performance to the year-end estimate. So I think it's a good year-end estimate. But 3 revenue items, and not that I'm saying do anything with them, but other income's down 81,000, homeowner activities down 25, park and rec's down 22. So we've got $120,000 worth of revenue there that's down compared to the projection. Is everybody comfortable with that?
Well, Mike, you take that one step further and you look at the homeowner's activity. If you look at the net there, it's $200,000. So again, I have to go back to, there has to be a way to collect from non-residents and maybe even, sell more tables, have more events where you're selling tables rather than have people bring their chairs. So you bring more revenue. And that you go back to your earlier comment about, well, you don't use things, but you feel like you should pay. Not everybody feels that way. And a lot of people don't attend these events. And so you got $200,000 loss or deficit in these events. And there are a lot of people who don't attend the events. So if you find a way to, I don't know, charge $5 or sell more tables or charge non-residents, at least the money is coming from people who are attending the event, not from residents.
Why don't we, okay, what? Set those aside and I'll hit the other stuff I have.
Well, I just make a comment too, just that the income down 25,000, but the expenses.
Yeah, I'm gonna get park and rec is up an expense actually. 16,000. And the revenue's down 22. Revenue down expense 11.
Can I hit the homeowner activity piece on terms of revenue? So Celebrationipoly is 10,000 and change of that. That's part of that 25.
That's a game that we're buying.
That's it. Yeah, we're producing it this year. You saw the revenue for it this
Yeah.
year. It should be sold this year, but
Did we put a revenue in for it?
we did not anticipate revenue. It was a last minute idea that we had. It'll be a net positive bill for this year. It'll be
Yeah,
more
it's
than
being sponsored on the cost. side,
Yes,
so
the
there
sponsorship
is
is
some
covering the
branding coming
10,000.
into what that is gonna be.
So,
That's in for next year, though, is a,
no, it's the 10,000 in revenue that you have for this year as part of your projection is zeroed out for 25. So that's $10,000, that 25,000.
it's a one-time event.
Yeah, so then pay to plays was removed completely from the lifestyles budget, so the $6,000 in revenue that we're anticipating is also a gone. So that's part of that 25,000. And then the rest of it is kind of I think some of these are adjusting where the events are versus having them out at the complex, having them lakeside.
Probably the one that concerned me most was other income. That was $80,000. And I didn't look at the detail. It was down from projection 80,000. The other ones are kind of hit.
Number two, we're
Well, a lot
downtown
of,
hall, so Heritage and all the other areas don't get burned out so much too.
That
So
would
that's
help
gonna be a burden. as
You've
well.
You're projecting $22,000 more this year in late payment charges than you're going to budget for. And 30,000 less in investments than we are projected to earn.
30,000.
the covenant fees are big.
So those two alone makes up the majority of that.
And then covenants fees as well.
And the gate codes.
Do we want to squeeze some of those back into the budget?
I would say be more conservative on those because you never know where covenants fees are going or late payment charges are going.
We got 15,000 in August.
Christmas time will get really high.
They're bringing on more inspectors
Halfway through the year.
halfway through the year. So
I'm not suggesting we should do something. I'm just asking because it's,
Yeah, we're just notating
The
where
difference
the
is,
differences lie.
I mean, the covenants fees alone, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, 8 months actual right now is 43. That could end up being closer to 60 or 65 for the year. That's an extra 15, but you've only budgeted 20. It's my perspective of seeing what I'm seeing, I would definitely see.
And that number isn't, yeah, stuff that gets waived in appeals.
Yeah, these are paid.
These are just safety.
Paid.
Yeah, we don't put them on the books until they are at least paid for or they've gone to collections.
So that means as of 8 months, right now, 43,000 have been paid. And you've only budgeted 20 for all of next year.
I moved to third.
at 15. At 15, 15,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty good.
But I do agree, be very, very conservative with late fees, because those cents.
Yeah. No, I think if we raise that 15, we leave the rest.
What about investments? Got a one-year tail on everything we have. They're more by a quarter. I think it's gonna move that much. I think we're covered for next year. Right?
It seems off, it seems about.
So we're down to 7.
and
Sorry.
The investment you said was down 30.
Right, well, right now we're projecting around 200 come in for the year. And
Yeah, for next
we've budgeted 175.
And put 25 back in.
I guess what we have out there, because we were doing it on 12-month rolling averages, right? So when you tar all these kind of due, you can calculate the interest there, but then maybe we take a 4% interest rate or something for the rest of the year for the balances, and that's how you get to what we told them.
We'll get into the math on it. I'm just gonna throw, I'm just suggesting 25. Yeah.
Well, I
So we can
mean,
do the spread.
25 sounds fine, just let's make sure,
I
if
think-
we're keeping it at 200, do we have the same blend of interest rate where this year, next year? Knowing that it's gonna fall off and probably be lower rates.
However, as an initial conversation, I just got an email today from the auditor who did say that so far projected for 2024, you're looking at about $30,000 tax.
We don't have that provided for in the post house.
Correct.
How do you, what number do you give them to,
Around 200 a year.
and they only calculated 30?
And I pushed back for some more details, but that's what she gave.
That's
We did it
ridiculous.
once
I mean,
every
30%, unless they're thinking we're gonna follow it in like
Zero.
1120.
I do believe that's it.
So, okay, so their footprint, we talked about this in the meeting with them and agreed that we didn't want to go in that direction because that involves a lot of detail, a lot of calculations, and you better up their fee.
On top of it.
Yeah, yeah. I thought we agreed in that meeting that we were gonna go with the 30%, which is gonna be a big number. It's gonna be 60.
That's probably what we agreed to do for the 2023 or five, but now this is different. So they'll be looking at this next year. I'm just saying,
I mean, if he,
just the initial.
he gets to 30 instead of paying 60 by doing something else. And
It was, I mean.
Let's just leave it.
Yeah, let's leave it alone, or else we increase that
Right.
taxes
Well,
down.
you gotta put taxes in there somewhere.
You get that
Well, I think you've got to push it in.
Oh.
for 25.
Okay.
Some cushion, some start on.
Yep.
Expenses, electricity looks good, it's up 3%, landscape was up 5.8, looks good, I think. Pool expenses. $47,000, 19%.
That's the,
That's the improved service, right?
We jumped into that, but I don't think any of us knew what impact that was gonna have. There was talk that, well, no, there was talk that we're gonna have an offset because we're gonna use chemicals more sparingly, more efficiently. It's most of the way it was getting done. And I've just seen.
Not on the chemical piece, it was, also on the repair piece, because you don't then own the equipment that's feeding the pools. So the pulsars, that is one of our frequent flyers of repairs, would not be our responsibility anymore, it would be on people class. So we did reduce repair costs down significantly to,
Unexpected to all, these Pokemon expenses were way higher than what the estimated budget was.
Yeah.
None of us foresaw that, so it's just, yeah, pool's gonna cost more going forward.
It's repair and maintenance is up 15%. General repair and maintenance. You're comfortable with that?
we're doing the repairs that we need to, it's an aging community.
Irrigation's down, repairs down, janitorial's at 3%. Safety and security is down 19%.
We have that screaming deal on the security guard company. And we also cut out the $12,000 cost sharing agreement with CDD and Lexington. Because we have never been billed for it. And
Right, any benefit.
it doesn't really provide us a benefit. So we do need to notify CDD that we are
How
pulling.
much was that?
It was $12,000 a year.
Half of it. Change.
No, Mayberry is 80,000. What's the 9,000 for security costs?
That's your EMS at the amenity centers. Fire department.
Water looks good.
Let's cross it. Let's
Let's not talk about this.
We're saving money and it's been consistent. I just don't know, somebody must have talked to EDC.
I don't know what to say.
This expenses are up. Park and rec expenses are up 13, revenues down.
The revenue's down a lot because 851 is out and we're losing on rentals of spaces like this because we're having all of our meetings here.
Agreed, revenues down, but the expenses are up, I guess, we'll say. Expenses are up 16,000, 13%. So that business model doesn't, I understand revenue going down, but then expenses go up at the same time. It's a bad business.
Did you say earlier, payment play was taken off of the income, but we still have a $16,000 expense on the person?
Pay to play for lifestyles, which was the income. Parks and Rec pay to plays are usually a net positive.
Where's the fitness center maintenance for?
That's in the
It's
maintenance.
just Island Village maintenance.
Doesn't have it in amenity. So where's it? Because you have amenity of rec, what? I don't know,
Or
once
166, maintenance on village. Is that how you put it?
Yeah. You mean like the maintenance contract?
there, I don't know if you have one. for-
Yeah, we have a preventative maintenance contract for Spring Lake and
Okay,
Island Village.
so it's in here.
Mhm.
The other driver for your Parks and Rec is the addition for volunteer program.
Is that? The pay volunteers.
You know, the software.
Yeah, but the software for it. That's cheaper than hiring people.
I'm gonna use Oasis, try and use Oasis, the school system. Okay, find out.
We have a different,
We've looked
we've
into
got
it.
2 or 3 different systems that they've vetted.
Other ones you're using through Grand Matters?
No. Is it-
More localist as well.
Other expenses are up 6%. I think that's fine. Professional fees, up 45,000. 50,000 of it was the architect, the 2 architect positions. I think, as Andrews pointed out, I think the challenge there is going to be holding them to a cap on their income.
Well, I mean, before they were cut out of budget, they were at $30,000 each a year. So,
Yeah, I think it's just more of understanding what they should be used for and solely that. And if there's something that they're doing beyond the scope, so it should be coming to the board, just using what's available there and finding out. That was for the year we already did through the 25K.
well, I'm just saying that their fees are higher now, and previously you budgeted at
Yeah, it's going to be a
30,000.
squeeze,
Yeah.
but
I'm just putting the information out there. So
when somebody talking to them and saying, this is your limit. This is what you have to work with. This is the budget, not what you said this budget. Someone told them that.
they've been restricted.
Somebody has to scope too. It's a combination. Scope in it, form of this. Sure.
No, honestly, the board knows nothing about the budget, so. There's gonna be plenty of explanation that, yeah,
Make sure
I will have to stand firm on. We worked through this and this is what it is, and there's very few changes, so. That's going in tomorrow, that's my stance, that whatever we finally settle here, I don't expect any changes at all. And again, you guys will be there too, but that we are putting it forward, there hasn't been much involvement from everyone else, so. What we put forward is the expectation of what should be passed through.
That was our same statement last year. We didn't even approve them. We didn't even vote for them. Okay.
Right, no, I know, so.
Who was held in protest? Did you say that you did talk to
Yeah,
the 2 of them?
Yeah.
It's 25?
I didn't tell them the 25, but I told them to restrict their activities this year for the rest of the year, because this budget's not finalized yet. And the staff has been made aware to restrict usage of them.
These are consultants. Just say restrict your activity. That's going to mean nothing. You're not put a price tag on.
Had a more in-depth discussion about the remainder of the year. Pardon? The landscape architect has not really done much. He's only done a couple of things, but the consulting architect for the ARC committee, his stuff is getting passed through me and the community standards manager. It will go Jacob.
Show that to the average hours per month. What's
Not the top
being
of my head.
billed
To look at it.
or how many part requests he's being reviewed or things like that.
Yeah, some more grants.
He consults on all of the ones that go to the meetings and any difficult ones online. It's gonna ebb and flow.
Clear message is, if we don't manage them, they're going to have to manage themselves. I don't think we'll be happy with the outcome.
Agree.
I think that's the message. I charged her down, but those are small down. And an expensive down. IT network, I see you got that all straightened up. That's good. That estimate for the current year, that was great. 275,000.
That's 200.
Hell of it. Got down out of 75. It's only it's an 8%. Here's the one, the big one. I think you got to talk about compensation. If I was a board member and saw this, I'd want to talk about. It's up 21.63, up $220,000. I think you're going to need to detail what makes up that 220 on their new positions. What are, how much of a merit increase are you putting in? Could have a bridge to tell us how that 220 is going to spend.
Is the employee benefits plan not being accounted for prior year, half of that?
Yeah, it's happened, yeah.
And I guess, are we,
The other large piece is you have, the salary adjustments to top rate the 2 top facility positions to get better qualified applicants. And then there's additional 2 maintenance techs in there.
are we, I guess, when I say we recommend, are you comfortable with that one team? It's just kind of looking at percentages of what projecting 112 this year on salaries of 983,000 versus salaries of 1.2 million for 192,000. We're increasing by about 300,000 spent, but employee benefits are only going up 7,000. That doesn't sound.
It does, if you think about it, because the head count's only changing by 2. So
Benefits, that's almost a fixed expense.
Yeah. They're flat per employee in a sense.
It's hard to tell who's gonna choose what benefit package, which fluctuates, or who's gonna choose benefits. Some employees don't choose them, how much they're putting into their 401k, or if they're putting money into their 401k.
So how did you guys calculate that one? What was your process?
Jennifer went through and came up with a formula based on salaries.
I just came up with this.
I guess mine is the number as well as your point.
Yeah, I use the actual numbers from 24 to figure out the percentage of people who had it based on that, the percentage that they were spending. And we just carry that same percentage over
So
on the new benefit number to come up with, or on the new salary numbers to come.
can you share what percentage of employees are taking benefits?
It's not in this setup.
50% of employees, 75%?
Oh, I didn't put the number of people who have it.
Labor, it should have dollars.
Besides the percentage.
What are you trying to get to? Just understand how they put that 119, that are we comfortable with the process they use to do that? Because I don't want to come in next year and find out that that number is 140 or 150 because of the pay formula or estimation.
Well, the thing is, they don't know until.
It's really hard to
the year
predict.
ends, so they're coming out with new insurance.
People can change throughout the year if they have a changing event.
I'll phrase it this way, is 119 a conservative
You feel
number,
it's
a
conservative?
moderate number, or an aggressive?
Probably a moderate.
Do use the behavior this year, model next year.
Yes.
So if everybody continues as is, so it's gonna happen. And our benefits only offer the full time.
Yes.
So I thought,
You want a lot. Well, the hourly people.
The only chance of variance is we have a few, a fair amount of new hires coming on.
They can take.
You also, I
That's one of
And
the,
you
it's up
have
to their choice.
Themselves, that's expected, right?
right, but you offer high deductible plans. So if that's what most younger people take, Brad, because. Hey, so, at least in my
It's
experience.
true, but if you feel like it's conservative,
just one question for my own edification.
I can look up how many people.
We missed the benefits this year. They were not budgeted anyway, is that correct?
They were on the sheet, but I did look like it was being calculated into the.
So it didn't go into the budget.
Correct.
It was on the worksheet,
Right,
but
right,
did not.
right,
So it truly wasn't,
yes.
so that is a true nominal. That's what happened at 200, yeah, it's like,
Basically. But Andrew, I have to file with the week, that's more calculated, but I want to you. See if I can find that.
that's all I had. And the only other question is reserved. That's a pretty big wild card. Yeah. Could be.
Is paramedic open enrollment anyway, the fall, October?
So we're gonna,
Is, I know we're taking a projection, but do you need to increase medical costs by 5% or something that we should build to that too? Just to ensure there is some wiggle room there with that number, rather than just taking prior year number and projecting on the total employees. So yeah, we're just a little bit more conservative on what we should do for 30 to achieve even further higher. I want to try to get to with as close of a number as we can by still being safe.
And that's me.
Well, again, I mean, having done this for years, you have an increase in the medical costs with the provider, you can also increase contribution by the employees by the similar amount. Either cost.
What's usually split that means what everybody's half.
I mean, you don't.
No, most employers pay more than that.
Right.
They're
So any increases.
Seven,
employers are
30.
taking it on.
not gonna.
What are we,
No,
what is what's premium school, self-pay? 70-30,
Oh, I don't know.
check that, see if we have. Our, this is about 70-30 across the country.
They just rebid it out last year.
I mean, I'm not saying we should lower, I'm saying it may be.
Oh, yes, I'm not saying.
Teachers have asked for a projected increase that they may anticipate.
And I'd like to just go back up to. Again, Parks and Recreation income. A lot of these are the private rentals, and it just, in my budgeting history, pretty much always budget what I think your projected is for the previous year, unless there's something that's causing you issues. Seeing that we're bringing on a communications manager, it seems like maybe marketing more of the private rental spaces to the community to actually increase the revenue as opposed to having declining. Just a thought.
It's a good thought. I wouldn't budget based on that until there's hard numbers on it, just because we are so, the issue is the rental space is available.
Yeah, you have a drastic decline in the availability of rental space.
Supply and demand, raise prices and all that other facilities.
Well, I'll just take Island Village. I mean, you're projecting 86 or projected 10,000 and you're only forecasting 5,000. That's going to get so much more exposure with all the thriving police stuff that's going to be going down there. I just feel that they're not going to be less. And the other day, farmers market's down 7,900. Is there a reason for that?
They're usually at 22 a year. They were behind at the tail end of last year and have been catching up. So you have some revenue this year that should have been last year's revenue.
We'll probably get some next year that shouldn't be this year's.
I think they just, did they just fully catch up?
I'm sorry.
Farmers,
Yes.
yeah, so they just fully caught up.
Was 20,000 actual so far through since 22. So, yeah. Maybe a little bit lower there. Obviously, he's trying to squeeze that in.
Well, I just think having red numbers for virtually everything in this category just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, you cut out teen programming, you cut out adult programming. I mean, a lot of these things are going to zero because they've been cut out.
Oh. Well, let's stop.
Yeah. They were proposed programming last year that we tried, they didn't. They weren't popular, weren't successful, so they're getting cut. So the revenue associated with them getting cut.
Yeah, so if there was revenue in the last year, we must have some level of success. And now you're cutting it, was the level of success that high in projection? Revenue total was now 22,000, expenses are up 16.
I mean, most of,
These aren't big dollars, but in terms of,
well,
like
here,
business
the biggest drop in projected revenue is Spring Park, which is Heritage Hall, that's $18,000. of the 22,000
Revenue.
in revenue.
Is that this building?
Yeah,
Fine, well, if I can get revenue, then my expenses of 16,000. Pick your poison.
That's, my, yeah.
The
The goal should be trying to even it out.
business unit
Maybe
is
have
not
a
a
little
good
bit of
example of
expense.
how you want to run a business.
10,000.
Shut the whole thing down.
Would you want to go to farmer's market to 25, 26, 28, something of that nature?
I just think that we're being pretty negative on a lot of these things that, again, be positive. Primary communications. And what's that?
Sandbagging.
Yeah, but, you know, we're asking and then residents that
I'm with you.
pay the sandbag. I don't think that's right. So if we switch up to Celebration Magazine and actually start doing some things that are really beneficial for people to look at, know that they can rent these private places, things like that, I think will be very positive.
Changes here aren't going to move the needle of the whole organization, but it just makes that business unit look better in terms of a budget.
You get behind you and, farmer's market for 25 and village for 10.
Yeah,
That's what you're looking at.
yeah, I think that's.
How much you that was that?
1,000 on farmer's market.
for revenue.
Yeah.
Andrew, to answer your question, there are 20 people on the CJC side, and 16 people on pros.
So 36 at 43.
And can we go, just one more question on landscape?
Yeah.
Us,
You what?
can we just move over to landscaping costs?
Okay.
With the, I don't know what was the total on this last, decision by the board, with, it's gonna be 90 something, but you said it came in 80 or
Like 89 or something.
Yeah.
89. So we're assuming that's not gonna happen.
So the number in here for mulch is based on the contract price for mulch units. So I took the mulch units used in this mulching round, took the contract price under Brian Causey's contract and combined them to get to this $150,000. Times two.
Which does include pine straw.
Doesn't include rent.
It does include.
Joe has, probably 150, 160, I think it's in the range of what that's going to be next year, $280,000 expense.
That's what it was supposed to be this year.
Right, it's always moved up to,
No, it was only budgeted for one this year.
One.
but no, I'm gonna try to push as hard as I can. There's no more mulch for the rest of the year.
That was your August gift.
The paperwork, you can pull that expense further up.
So it was funny because I'm strong over the ball. And they didn't need to.
I think the best one I saw was in Iverson Park. You have the trees that have all the mulch, but then we put some, or pine straws, and they decided to put some pine straw around 2 signs. You know, it's nice. They're gonna check when I saw them.
See, I think we should talk about the resale allocation, look at that. Because that'll be a big topic strategically, that'll have the biggest thing for the budget, in terms of what gets decided. So,
Well, that's true, that's true. We definitely need to discuss, I'm just saying that it shouldn't impact the overall budget, it's, do you get double
well,
that dollar amount, and then we get hit on the allocation, or is it this one?
it's gonna fund the master plan. So it's passed through to balance sheet account that we use to pay for stuff. So it's pretty important where that comes in.
I guess I.
If you want to deliver on the master plan.
Right, no, that's the thing, right? If you want to deliver on the master plan, you have to do that.
Yeah.
And if you if the community chooses not to, then master plan moves at a snail pace rather than quick pace.
See that, oh, yeah, yeah.
If there's no money, then there's nothing.
Yeah. But I think we need to make a good faith effort to steer the board in the direction we want them. And then they're gonna have to sponsor, support it before the change, the charter change. Occur here based on what we decide.
Yeah, my thought for you guys was, I think you proceed with the 0.5% sales price and on, I get where you're coming from on splitting it on buyer and seller, but I think we don't tie it to the seller, but it's truly on the capital allocation that we have at $500,000 right now. If we need to adjust that up, that's where we hit the current homeowners, not sale of the property.
You're saying if we go with the 0.5 and we need more, say we'll increase dues.
Right, that you have, I guess looking at the buckets, we have the capital improvement assessment, which 0.5% is as high as I'm going to go, and that's that. Then you have your annual capital allocation, which this year we're budgeting 500,000.
Yeah,
If we need to increase that at any time, that's where we do it. And then obviously the third bucket would be, I would put this together as a special assessment. And that's kind of where maybe town hall comes into it. If there is some project specifically that we're geared to, then that would be a third round of funding for something specific. Not all of them.
I think, yeah, I don't disagree with 0.5. I mean, I wouldn't go any further. That's what we're going to be to. If the capital spending in 3 or 4 years goes up, it'd be a whole different board. They want to try and go out and raise it to 0.6. It's 3. I mean, we know 0.5 get us where we need to be right now, especially even with the plan, master plan, it's 2 years. But if we run into any more big issues like E51. But
Even if you make it a flat 0.5%, if you assume that property values continue to rise like they have been in their lifetime, then that 0.5 is going to be more and more every year.
yeah,
So
exactly.
you shouldn't have to raise it to 0.6.
I don't know,
But
I don't know. Yeah,
That's
but I
basically-
agree with you 100%.
That's an inflation index. It's basically going to cover inflation for projects, for cost of projects.
and
Just help keep up with your purchasing power.
you're right.
That's
It's a balance thing.
This is that chart that I put together, the 2 pages now. And I think you're gonna have to use something with the board to explain it. And I'm fine with 0.5% if that's what people said. I could live with either one. I still think bringing in more people, if you can do that and sell it, so that you aren't burdening one particular segment so much, is a better way to go from a strategy standpoint. But go down a little bit more. That, no other way, sorry.
Up.
Yeah, that's right.
Jacob's Drive.
Yeah, stay there.
It's still large.
Yeah, I can.
Well, column B, make it.
Oh, I'm sorry, absolutely.
Both of them come out about the same. They're almost an exact duplicate. So what I added here that you can see the buyer's fee, see the line down in the middle, buyer's fee, was $1,299. I think it's right. Still to make adjustments. And then the various house prices, what the fee would be at 0.5%. And then what that is a multiple using the yearly assessment at par. You can see what multiple current price the buyer will be paying there, just for the optics. So it shows you.
Yeah, so my thought, right, is if this was a board decision, I would probably go with option 2. I think that makes more sense. But as far as something that goes to the community vote, I think that's gonna run into a lot of headway in doing that. And me personally, I would rather have low rate HOAs for the next 10 years. When I sell a house, I get to pay at that point. Sure. I don't think the homeowners view it that way. And that's a tough concept to get across in some community vote. So that's where, I don't think the 0.5% is a bad idea, but I think it's our best option to ensure success in something getting moved forward, that we can get the voting share as well as the money for the capital improvements.
I think you should explain it that way tomorrow night, so the board understands that this is what we think we can get passed. Which I don't disagree with, but know that there's probably gonna be a couple of real estate people in the room tomorrow night. The Kathy Carlson will be here, guy that wrote the note, Nick Thompson, I'm sure he'll be here. So the argument I would make if I was a real estate person is, look, the buyer's looking for a house. They have options. They can look here, they can look there, they can go to the market. In this market, there's a fee, and that could affect my decision. Maybe everybody thinks it's not material, whatever, but they have options. When you have a seller captured, they don't have options. We're gonna sell a home. They already invested here. They sell a home, and if we can attach to that, that's an income stream,
I don't disagree, but my thing, I agree with, I've said this, I'm really worried about.
And I'm not arguing hard for it. I'm just pointing out the other side. So you think,
We see the other side.
Yeah.
We see what you're bringing to the table. We
But you're,
understand.
the buyer is buying into the community. The buyer is paying, because they're coming in the community. They're paying for these things that the master plan group, they're coming up with.
Agreed.
Why should the seller pay to leave? That's what I don't understand. And I don't care. It's a couple $1,000, doesn't really matter.
because we want them to.
It doesn't make any sense.
I mean,
Why do you pay taxes?
The selling,
Because the government wants you to.
having the seller fee, the benefit would be that we do not have to increase the capital allocation that aggressively above the 500,000. You're getting it when you move. You're tying into that as to like a deferred expense. That's how I would view it and sell it. If that's what you're.
You can try, but all the people that have just bought in didn't know about that, how all of a sudden, that on sell it, it's gonna cost you. That's why I'm afraid they're gonna look at it, no way.
Right.
So, and for someone buying a $1.8 million home to pay $87.50 in capital fee, I just don't think that's a significant amount. Okay.
Which again, if we just take $1 million for sale of property, after percent is 5,000, it's only 3,000 more than what they'd be paying them. So it's not too egregious, additional expense.
So if you go down a little bit more. This time I really need to go down. Jacob. This time I really
Just
need-
poke.
I can't read it from here, but the capital fund there, 3.5. Come back, there you go, that's good. The capital fund in year end is gonna be about 3.5. This will bring in 1.8 million a year. Wing it, gotta get it in place, it's gonna be partially year next year if we go off to the election and so on, so we'll get full value there.
Yeah, because I'm trying to push it.
I know.
To have
Sure.
it, the 10 grand is worth the expense to pass it through and then start January 1st. So it was, 150,000 revenue, so.
Plus the master plan.
So that capital, the capital fund, that'll cover phase one of the master plan, which is 2.6, I think. And could also cover the repair costs of the 851 if we end up repairing. It's kind of a ceiling on the repair cost of 2.5. So we can cover those two items, all of the capital fund across this spectrum of 2 additional years next year. I'm sorry, this year, 2 additional years of contributions. If we decide to replace the 851 building, or we try to do the civic center, that's a financing event. We can't fund that. We'll have to use money from the capital fund for a down payment, some conventional loan or something, unless we get bonds. But that's just not considered here. So we're gonna be a little tight when we get into master plan phase 2 expenditures. That's how much is that?
Well, even My view on the community centers, that's truly a CCD partnership there. That's not gonna be something that's gonna be funded by Crow funds. So
Phase two, which I think is a little fuzzy, some of those buildings and that, phase two is 3.8 million. So,
Which is, with those years are fun, but it's
yeah, it goes out, I don't know, years here. Well, it says 27, 30. That's what they're saying, so that's pretty fuzzy.
so you get to accumulate this cap. Fees. Again, we're adding, you know, 38 townhomes, phase two, phase four. So we're still increasing the population. So
I mean, I appreciate the report, but that's only on information we know today. So depending on whatever happens at town hall, that might change the phase two drastically.
Oh, yeah.
It's, and that's why, you know, we'd be extending that route to be an ongoing committee, because as Callie comes in, as conversation for the CCD goes through, if there's needs that are being met, then that's going to be changing that master plan projection out 3 to 5 years. So.
Civic Center has a second floor, which comes to town.
I'll probably get my step under 5 and maybe myself.
Creative. Okay, so we're gonna present this tomorrow night to the board.
Yeah, we can present two options and okay. At this point, the finance committee and the master plan advisory group are supportive of the 0.5%. So that's, we'll show all the information, but that's how we got to the conclusion of where
Every
we're going to
process. Yeah.
Yep.
Know that there'll probably be a couple people in the room that are gonna think you should do more.
Oh, yeah.
There's people are talking about 1, 2, 3%. And Nick doesn't know if it's gonna be enough money to get done. It's his comment and so on. That's why I threw the cash flow in there.
Yeah.
But I think there's at least one resident that probably wants to do much more.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
aware of that, and I don't view that appropriate, having by pretty much subsidize fees and all kinds of issues. So.
That's right.
Keep our purchase prices continuing to descend, not have pressure on people not wanting to come into our community because of the fee. There's only so far we can push it before we really call
So
ourselves.
balance, so balance them. Yeah, he would like to have 0% assessments. You know, be funded by these people, by homes.
Yeah, which is- makes sense.
That's reasonable.
Oh, seriously?
And I mean, say, if we do go with some type of town hall project, then the option will be a special assessment, take out a loan, or maybe do a 1/4% on the seller. You know, either something that comes up at later conversation. So something, we don't have to try to push through everything. I'm not accomplishing.
One thing that I don't think the average person recognizes, comprehends because we've not talked about, but the fact that we've been supplementing the capital fund from the operating application. A lot of people probably don't know that. Interestingly enough, the 500,000 that pegged this year, which is about 50% of our own department fee. And also is about $110 per year per house. 4,500 houses. So that's $500,000. And in the survey, the median and average was 100 a year.
115.
129 for the mean, and median was 100. So that's, we're taking pretty close to what people said they were willing to pay. But remember, that also says, which is just a coincidence I found interesting. That also says in their study, survey, that 30% of the people want to pay nothing. So think about the vote, we're talking about the vote. 30% of the people are just, I'm happy just the way it is, I don't want to pay another thing. That's a pretty large number.
Right, but how many people have to vote? And what is just a majority?
10%, say, minimum threshold vote, so that means you have to have 10% of the eligible in good standing households for the vote to be valid. So if we have about 4,500 homes, we gotta have at least 450, and then a majority of those in order to pass. So if you have to put a little correlation here. It's the same people who vote who participate in the surveys. So that 30% is significant.
It's a little scary.
Yeah.
And that was 30% of 900 people, right? So that's 270 people.
These 30%, they don't.
They don't
want to see
that. They don't want for assessments for
They sort of.
amenities. But that's not.
But
it's almost
how many
the other-
of us, but they still want.
The server is 1,000.
What, we had 2,000 vote in the election last year, so take that into account that half the people, or 60% of people don't even care what gets next. So another 40%, what are you gonna be able to pass through with this?
I mean, it's also being pragmatic though. If I was answering a survey that you know people are fishing for answers, if you're gonna click no to spending more money, but then if a real vote comes along and there's a justification to the spending of money, you might be more inclined, thank you, to,
So you're saying you're a skeptic?
I'm saying I would be of the 30%, not that I call. I might be like 30% saying, no, I'm not paying more because I don't know what it's going to. Like, it's going to life. But if I'm seeing this on them, like, well, I understand where this money is going. And it makes sense that I might then change my vote.
Yeah, I think a lot of those people are people who don't use amenities. And they'll say, well, I don't really want all this stuff.
That's see,
Why do I have to pay more? Because I don't want it.
Yeah.
There is a contingent within celebration that doesn't care for any of it. And is happy if we didn't have a single one.
It's amazing the number.
But again, that's the
I could see that too.
diversity of our community. You have people that go to every single event. You have some that go to no events. You have some that go to twice. So we're.
The amenities are-
It's a small percentage. Large percentage of people in town are not going to, which amazes me. Absolutely amazes me. Yeah, 1,000 to 2,000 people that are engaged. What's our population?
Like 12,000.
How much?
12,000.
Well,
I'm not the way to find out, but I'd be curious to know how many are full-time residents versus second ones or summer houses
There's some
or all that kind of
data
stuff.
on
So
that.
how can we get into that? What's the true number of, 2,000 that vote? Is that 2,500 that are full-time?
I'll get to vote.
People just choose not to vote.
I vote. Part-time. Okay, are we good?
I guess CJC, just looking at that piece, the one thing to discuss, I mentioned 4th of July. I think expenses for CCS ran around 70 or 80,000. And we only brought in, I think, like 40,000 in sponsors. We currently have 20. Is that something that we should be pushing up to say 30,000? So that we're not truly at a loss every year, we're trying to break even that 70,000 expense with 30,000 from the CGC contribution and 40,000 sponsorship.
So is the sponsorship number up versus the current year for next year?
The CCS budget hasn't been finalized.
I think we should. You've had a push on writing more grants and everything else, I think, correct? Sponsorships.
Grants are kind of limited to Experience Kissimmee. We need to expand out that search. There's just not been capacity to do that. But yes, they've made a concerted effort to drastically increase the sponsorships, and I think you've seen that year over year.
Yeah, is that reflected in the numbers? That's 24 versus 25.
And for CCS, it will be, yeah.
What kind of numbers, how much?
And
So that's. the
Liz
process.
just started it when she was, when she left.
Okay. That's still unknown. So there may be some, to Andrew's question, maybe some upsides there. Help that.
Either that or we start paring back the 4th of July event
Or a combination.
or a combination.
And now we have to run it out once this year.
It typically runs at a loss.
Typically, that's right, but that's what we're. I think part of it will be if we do that 30,000, maybe 25, Lexington thing is stuck at 25. If we do 30, then we say match the 30, so we can truly pull this together and do a partnership. So it's not too.
I mean, Lexington's contributing to this 20,000 in CJC. As part of their Canal dues.
Right, I think it's only like 23%. Majority
Is
of
that
that's
CCS money or what is that?
So the 20,000 in here in CJC is CJC's annual contribution to CCS.
That's been
That's its
20,000
funding.
for 20,000 for a long time, that hasn't adjusted. So again, if you even adjust that for inflation, it's probably 40,000, 50,000.
I think there was some time when that filled up, but we weren't even using it when it happened. All suddenly we realized.
Well, and for the 25th anniversary, you also beefed up funding to CCS to do the whole big long weekend hoopla.
If I remember right, a couple of years, 3 or 4 years ago, it might have been both Crow and Lexington ran 4th of July.
That's before me.
Same time?
So 4th of July.
Crow
used to be-
did something over at the
Yes.
Lakeside, and Lexington did the thing downtown with the stage and band.
Yeah,
Since usually a contributor now to what's it?
I mean, it was overkill. There was too much
yeah,
going on.
Lexington did the big external community piece.
Yeah, they brought.
And then Croa did a small resident only piece, but the residents could obviously participate in the larger piece. Then the reasons it transferred to Croa vary depending on who you're talking to. But eventually transferred to Croa to do the larger thing.
Yeah.
And at one point, Experience Kissimmee was funding grants for 4th of July, but they don't do that anymore.
Because
Really,
What I thought.
Okay, so you make a few minor adjustments and then
you're at 6.8% right now.
Which you're looking at that 6.8 plus 3.6 our next year. 6.8.
Oh, 6 point.
and a 4-year average is going to be about 7.
3.6 was low last year, 6.8 this year, so you're at 5.6%.
For the
Responsible for those 2 years,
Yeah.
right? And again, the reason for the increase, right, we're including the benefits plan that wasn't last year, mulch twice a year, eco smart, and there's a number of different things that can be substantiated. We're not just increasing price to increase price, but these monies are being allocated in these places.
How's this gonna be presented tomorrow?
What's that?
How is this gonna be presented?
Do we want to go line by line, or
I,
do we want to do a quick overview, and then if there's questions, we can go into it?
they went line by line last year, and it was ugly.
Or do you want to do, I was thinking, do you want to do subcategories?
Subcategories and don't get into minutia. But people will drift back into it. You just got to refocus and say, hey, it's been scrubbed 100 times. So just take it for what it's worth. It's something broad question. Their big decision is, what are they going to get behind? He said a lot. Because they're going to have to promote it. They're going to have to have, you know, marketing campaign for it, tell people what's the rating.
Budget for that?
Smart.
once I get the.
Just because you have a bow tie.
I'll put together maybe some. I'll put together a summary based on various categories, so we can.
If you're gonna keep them focused on that, you're gonna be the top talk.
Yeah, that's fine, then. Once we get the revised number, I'll break it down to subcategories, and then we'll get a summary sheet for them. What they're seeing in the year increases for the different categories without them talking.
That's a good idea. Don't even show them this.
Yeah.
Just show them a summary sheet. With the subtotal categories. keep them out. of-
You can always go back to this if somebody wants to see something, but yeah, if you just show them whatever your
Yeah,
summary.
Lauren, you'd have that, but don't put,
Just get this up over here.
Andrew says he's gonna put something together for the subcategory, Jim said it too, for the subcategories. Then show that to the board on the screen and let them talk about that and don't let them get into the details. Keep them on the weeds.
So we're gonna collapse.
You could just hide the lines, yeah, you got your.
Any of the
Take-
bolded items.
Yeah, any of this,
So you're
the
gonna-
sub-expenses.
Subtotal landscape maintenance.
Yeah.
It's what we usually pull into the 3-year
One line.
projection page.
Okay.
It's just the high level numbers.
Yep.
And then I would do, when we want to present it
Must be
as
fine.
2023 actual, 2024.
It's too much
And
to
then
good
2025.
with.
Every time.
I would just.
Just those three.
Yeah, I think so.
Just do 20.
All right, so then just approve budget and propose budget and then show what the increases.
The approved budget, the projected for
County
20.
projection.
Yeah,
Difference, and then.
Because you're gonna,
I guess how confident are we with the projected for this year?
it's it's the clearest number to show.
To the budget.
You don't, yeah, don't show year to date. When you show year to date,
show what?
I would not show the year to date.
Not year to date.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we do those three then, the approved budget for 2024, the 12-month projected for 2025.
That projection gives you an opportunity to tell them, and be careful when you're making decisions, because we're headed on budget for the end of the year. We made a lot of decisions that weren't in the budget. This is the result, $160,000.
Which I think it could actually.
I think it's gonna be more than that.
All as I said, is there's $25,000.
That's what we know, that's what we know today, so.
Every period, we can use $25,000.
Figure.
30 seconds on philosophy. This is the whole reason the finance committee was created. So the board doesn't have to go line by line.
Why did you say that during the comments? In the comments.
Oh, okay. Because I was here, when we can make it an hour here before we did this, and the board would just wear themselves out arguing line by line until the finance committee was created. And they don't have to worry about it because they had your okay as this is valid.
It worked okay up until last year. And there was really blowout last year.
Yeah, I think there was some maybe special insurance practice that were pushed out, and then personality.
Position materialized in the air, all kinds of stuff. One member was there and said, need an extra person? During the meeting.
So can you collapse these and get it out to us sometime tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll start the 3-year projection tab and then that'll be the one we'll show. It's,
That's it.
it's empty right now.
I know,
But
just pull it up, I'm just curious. What the, so.
it's,
Just a-
it's an empty tab.
There's nothing.
There's nothing in there.
You don't even have a template?
From last year I do, but in
Well, I'm
this,
just saying, I don't want you to present something that we can see, so what template are you showing?
No.
it's what gets mailed out to the homeowners every year. It's basically the large subcategories all rolled up.
Okay, but you're only gonna have 3 copies.
Yes.
Okay, so you can get that to us before the meeting, so we kind of go through it, to make sure we can know what we're gonna have to explain.
Okay, now I'm confused, because you were gonna do it, you're gonna do it now.
No, you got it.
We're gonna do, you get us the vote, that's what we're asking.
I actually would do the Excel, but I don't, you guys don't give me access to be able to edit.
Yeah,
We just,
We asked for
it.
it.
That's what we,
it's been sent out.
with the 3-year projection, what are you doing for year 2 and year 3? How do you project this?
We haven't started that yet.
No, yeah, we're not gonna do
We're not doing that.
Until after we finalize this budget.
What I'm saying is that just an arbitrary number of a percentage?
Yeah, the committee makes a recommendation as to what the percentage would be the next 2 years in terms of inflation and numbers. And if we know there's gonna be any major changes in lot numbers or any anticipated staffing associated with those lot number changes, then it's put in there. It's just it's a charter requirement.
So then if we're talking, Mike said it was about 7% over the past 4 years, are number 7% or 5%? What
I
percentage?
think,
do you
John,
wanna
you
do?
need target, I would stay in that 6-7% range.
But do we need to do that?
You know, these things.
No, we don't.
No, you don't. You don't need that now. That happened after you
We can
get.
move on.
When are we expecting the reserve study?
Yes.
Within a week or so.
And are they starting from scratch? Or they just started, or they've taken
They
the,
have they've done the reserve study for countless years, so they have their most recent one. They're updating it to add the Island Village one. They're reformatting a little bit, so it makes a little bit more sense because you had security cameras in the key scan system up above in the common element section, and then you had additional numbers for the dog park and CCFC, so that's what getting rolled back up into one, and other things like that, so it's consistent
we
throughout.
don't know what was done now. We still don't know what was, if they said something was gonna be done in 2025, we don't know whether it was done or not. We haven't traced that, I thought. And so how do they start? How do they just,
I think it's
So-
almost, they're looking fresh. I mean, they have familiarity with the neighborhood, but they're looking at everything and pretty much doing time zero now and looking forward. Because that's something that concerned me of, we had a reserve study, but how much of that reserve study actually got done? Or we got
So,
pushed back. or-
Yeah, they come on
It
site,
doesn't matter because it's a fresh look.
they come on site, and
Just the item, to start seeing time to pass.
they come on site and do a site visit to every facility. They come into every facility, look at things, they look at the exterior.
so it wasn't just an add-in. They're coming in and starting,
Yeah, they come in, they take the reserve study, the large projects that we know were done, we give them those and what the cost was, especially when it comes to the service areas. The smaller projects in terms of landscaping, we give them a bulk number year by year of what was done. And then they spent probably a good week.
It was 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks out here on site, looking at every amenity center, every asset that you have and doing an evaluation of it.
so what's that number change? So if in a week we get,
It's probably, it's going to.
right, so it's gonna change. So we're going to the board with the number, we're gonna say that.
Well, that's gotta be a foot.
Yeah, that we have the 1,071,000 to replace it current. That number could change depending on what that reserve study comes back. Maybe it's
That's a big
1.1, maybe it's 1.2. So.
Because, I mean, none of Island Village was contemplated in that 2022 reserve study. So we didn't own anything up there.
Nothing's gonna need to be fixed.
I'm concerned about that.
Sure. Why don't you sell your floors then?
Well, I mean,
I said, tell your floors that.
Yeah, well,
when you install residential for commercial use, then.
if we had cameras in all the fitness centers and throwing medicine balls up against the walls, then we wouldn't have all those issues.
We have cameras in there. It's just hard to tell who's doing it.
People.
I didn't ask you earlier. Island Village stands out. You guys are selling pool chemicals at the back.
No, she's.
Not an air?
I brought that on, and she said,
No,
say.
It was $11,000.
12.
Wow.
12.
That's the one that's worth it.
Yeah, it just got coded incorrectly. I saw it too when I sent it out. I'm like, what's in here? And I figured it out earlier today. So when he sent his email, I was like, yeah, I saw it too. That's why I said they're not final. Forgive me, they're not final.
One thing with the reserve,
Oh.
if it comes in a couple $100,000, one option we have, now it's 6.8, I think. We could take $100,000, raise fees, go back to 7.8 or something, that'd be $100,000. So we'd have the 7.8, that'd be 100 towards it, we could take another $100. for Capital fund or something.
Yeah, but I would look at it as the finance committee, you guys are conditionally approving this budget at 6.8, but the reserve study comes back higher.
Yeah.
You reserve that right to increase it to 7%, 7.5%, whatever that may be to do appropriate.
Like to try to claw back some of that if we have surplus, not surplus. Be able to pay for the reserve.
That would have to be part of the explanation.
Correct. Yeah, somewhere on that line, I'm trying to reduce it beyond that 6. That's the floor. That's where we're at.
And it might go up depending on the
Yeah.
reserve.
I didn't use the summary.
It go up, so.
I'm gonna get into a big discussion.
I have two columns.
We don't have it, so.
We can't do that.
It's gonna be whatever they come up with. It is what it is.
But yeah, that's where, not that I'm slow on your budget. But I don't want to put it still more, stay under 6.8 until. we get it.
Yes.
So,
It's conditional.
It's all good.
The only other thing that's not known there is insurance with that in itself, but I think the last couple of years we've been pretty accurate with fire off, so.
Yeah, we usually overestimate insurance on the conservative side.
The time when that caused a problem each year.
I know it's 6.8, but what's the total dollar increase? $80?
It is $82.56 for the year. So the total annual rate is $1291.01. Not including trash fees.
I think it's a job well done, guys, so appreciate everyone participating and bringing everything forward. I know I question you guys on certain things and appreciate the conversation, but I think the end result is a positive for the community, so thank you all.
That's what the board thinks. The rest of their patriots.
Patriots.
Anything on that, I don't-